Coming up this week on Cruisin', presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine, we have the ultimate Lamaze class.
It's a project that I used to keep me at home to help her with the pregnancy.
How'd that work out for you?
My wife Karen has been involved in this from day one.
Well, looks like it worked out well for you.
Finally, my brothers helped persuade him that instead of sitting in the garage collecting dust, he needed to come to car shows and let me enjoy it. So,
since then,
brothers are good for something.
Yes, they are. Plus,
elusive barn find.
And that's one of the greatest finds of all. Are you ready for this week's show?
Standard of the world, you know.
We had no idea. Cruisin', presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine, starts now. Welcome to Cruisin'. I'm John Shapiro, publisher of Cruisin' Times Magazine. We're at the 17th annual Goodguys Rod and Custom Nationals in Columbus, and we're going to take a look at just some of the 6,000 cars here on the State Fairgrounds. Well, you found it where?
I'd set the criteria for about a year. Pre-war, discontinued make, General Motors drivetrain, LaSalle fit, all of that criteria. So the more I thought about it, it was a perfect combination for this setup. And it took me about 8 months and I saw it. It's a California car. Went to the dealer's website, about 20 or 30 pictures, bottom of the car, inside and everything, and then I bought it, drove it for a year as an antique car, and then took it to BBT Fabrications in Champaign, Illinois, and they started the work and they finished it.
Interiors, what color?
It's a light beige, cloth and tan.
And then what's the paint?
The paint is PPG Champagne Pearl.
Boy, perfect color for a LaSalle. I mean, this
I would say so,
elegant.
yes.
Wheels, give us the rundown.
They're Intro Imperial wheels.
Boy, Tuck, you got all the names, Cadillac, Imperial, LaSalle.
Yes, exactly. All the fancy names.
So now, you got the interior. Give us the idea about the trunk. Anything special there?
Well, the trunk, I had them finish out the trunk with matching panels similar to the door panel pattern. Carpet in the trunk.
And anything else unusual about this car that drew you into why did you buy this versus just?
The condition of the car, and I noticed that it was actually a running board delete car. It was a factory delete option for this car, so that was a big bonus for me.
Tell us more. I mean, are you a Cadillac man, a LaSalle man, or are you now?
Well, now I am. Yeah, I just wanted a nice, solid old car.
Yeah.
Discontinued make, running, driving antique car that I can enjoy for a year and then have it modified. And this fit all the criteria.
Boy, the chrome work is incredible. And that must be, I mean, you look about you got the LaSalle emblems, you got, what'd you have to, I mean, did you have those when you bought it, or did you have to buy it, or?
No, all the pieces were with the car, but they all needed repair.
I love the side of the hood. Give me some more unique features that people would find on a LaSalle versus a Cadillac, or anything different?
Well, the grill is the most distinctive look for a 40 LaSalle. I'm pretty sure it's the narrowest grill that General Motors made pre-war car.
What about taillights? Anything there as far as?
Taillight, the pods back there are a 50 series base model. And then the 52 series was more molded into the fender. But I like the pods on it, similar to 39 Chevy, so.
And then as far as you got it, I see under the fenders painted, everything's painted. I mean, everywhere you look, it's either chrome
frame's
or
powder coated. Oh yes, frame and rear suspension, it's all powder coated.
And how'd you get it down low? What's the?
It's not chopped, it's not channeled, it's just a suspension. LaSalle's downfall, though, was the fact that they outsold Cadillac, being a companion car. That happened a decade earlier with Oakland. Pontiac outsold Oakland, and they canceled Oakland. Well, I guess they weren't going to cancel Cadillac.
So it's not good to outsell Cadillac?
No, no. Standard of the world, you know.
And where are you planning on taking it this summer?
I'll take it as far as it'll take me, which should be just about anywhere.
So this actually began as a college car for you,
Yes.
but you really didn't own it yet.
No, I wanted to.
So tell us about how that happened.
Sure. In 1987, my dad bought the car from a widow, and he brought it home, and from the minute he brought it home, I wanted it. So 1988, he painted it. It's the original color, honey gold, and for years he kept it. He bought it with 59,000 miles on it. I got the car 3 years ago with about 60,000 miles, and I probably put 90% of that 1,000 miles on it myself.
So you figured you just might as well either buy this or get it?
Yeah, I tried for years to buy it from him, and then finally my brothers helped persuade him that instead of sitting in the garage collecting dust, he needed to come to car shows and let me enjoy it. So
Since then?
brothers are good for something.
Ooh. Since then, you've been what have you been doing with it? Just having fun?
Just cruising. It's a great cruiser. Just taking it to car shows locally and just having a good time.
Well, it's a convertible.
Enjoying it.
And are you sure?
Yeah, only enjoying it in the summer.
You just have that top down. It looks like a new top. Tell us about it.
Yeah, unfortunately the top had fallen apart a little bit. We had to that was replaced back probably around 1990.
And are you the envy of all the neighborhood former college buddies?
I think so.
What else have you done to the car? I mean, what?
It's pretty much original. I mean, it's got the original Tiger Paw spare tire in the trunk, and the windshield wiper fluid bag's original. The kick plates are a little cracked because they're original. Original dash. I mean, everything's pretty much, it's just been the top and the paint.
Original
and the battery.
engine? What about the engine?
It's got a 289 two-barrel with a C4 transmission.
Cool. And then all you've done is just change tires over the years? Or?
Yep.
What's your favorite place to cruise? Where you live in?
I live in Ostrander.
Ostrander.
Yep. Just out through farm country. What better? How much better could it get?
And ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay. Yeah.
Tell us what's up next? You going to keep this car forever?
Oh yes. My daughter will eventually get it. It's going to stay, not for sale.
And she'll go through the whole process, college?
Oh yeah, she's got to go through college and then beg and plead for the car like I did. Yeah, she's an only child.
I love the beg and plead part. Next up.
And it had an 1/8 inch gap from the rear tail all the way to the side door.
Whoops! The transformation is coming up on Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine.
The original titanium exhaust wrap from DEI. Stronger and tougher than fiberglass with a carbon fiber look. Withstands extreme temperatures, improved thermal performance, reducing underhood temps. Run cooler, run stronger with the original titanium exhaust wrap from DEI. Get thermal acoustic control with Boom Mat from DEI. Easy to apply, Boom Mat offers a complete line of products to keep your interior cool and quiet. Starting as low as $7.95, Boom Mat has you covered. Keep your interior cool and quiet with Boom Mat.
Welcome back to Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine.
I actually purchased this car the same week that I found out that my wife was pregnant. And it's a project that I used to keep me at home to help her with the pregnancy. So so now that my daughter is older, she's fully involved in both of our cars.
Tell us about the work you did to get it to the condition today.
Well, when I first got it, it was just a rolling shell. Nothing, no front end, just had quarter panels on it. I completely redid the whole thing. Small block 406 at first, and then I gravitated to an LS2, cast iron LS2.
Well, while we're talking about the engine, tell us about it.
There's a lot of custom brackets that I custom made myself. It's, of course, the LS motors have never been big on looks. But I decided that I was going to make an LS look good.
What are some of the brackets you did?
Oh, actually took the coil packs off the valve cover and extended them up. I also made billet covers to block to cover up my fuel injectors, so you don't see any wires or anything. Right. It's all smooth, so you see very few wires.
Were there any surprise body problems?
Well, yes. We found out that when I bought the car, it had new quarters on it, but we had no idea that the person put a tack weld every 3 inches, and it had an 1/8 inch gap from the rear tail all the way to the side door. We found out when Frank was sanding on it, and there was a gap, 1/8 inch gap the entire way, filled in with mud.
Beautiful paint job. Who did that?
It's actually a PPG, it's a custom mix. It's a PPG from their PPG Vibrance line. So what we did is we've got about 4 pearls and 2 candies in here, all mixed together. So it's easy to repaint. It's not a 3-stage paint. We actually had a series of swatches, and we just kept going, and none of them looked the way we wanted it to. So we add a little more pop, and that's where the candy comes in. No decals. It's all painted. We wanted to be different, so when this thing is in the sun or in the shade, it completely flips. So it's different. I'm getting a lot of people who love it.
Take us through the interior.
Actually, it's a 2006 GTO interior, leather. I didn't want to go just black because because of the color scheme of the car. I wanted something that would fit with the color. So it has it's black with a walnut insert.
Oh,
and that follows through to the trunk as well. That trunk is a custom trunk that I've done myself. All of the panels on the car has been done by myself in my garage, and came out pretty good.
The stance looks good. Give us the wheel combo here.
Well, I've got 17-inch, 17 by 8 and 17 by 10 Boyd Coddington Junkyard Dogs on it, with the Nito 555 racing tires. I've been on the road and haven't had any problems.
Did you always want a Chevelle? Did you always, I mean, what was your...
When I was little, I actually owned Mopars. I had a 73 Charger, and I had lifted Jeeps and trucks, 44-inch tires on them. And then I decided to go to a muscle car, and this is the first one I saw.
You know, your whole family's involved in this. We haven't mentioned your wife yet.
My wife Karen has been involved in this from day one. She fully supports my hobby. She's actually helped me restore a lot of the parts. Because they were all rusted, she helped me with sandblasting a lot of parts in my booth. And then I would refinish them after I get them from her. So I've got pictures of her. She's sitting there, she's pregnant, and she's doing her thing, but she loves it.
Let's visit Cruise In Marketplace. Tough Stuff Performance Accessories. All Tough Stuff products are quality made in Cleveland, Ohio using 100% new components. Tough Stuff has a complete line of underhood accessories for the custom and hot rod market. All Tough Stuff products meet or exceed OEM specifications. For more information, visit toughstuffperformance.com or call 1-800-331-6562. Coming up.
What people want nowadays is closest to that factory off the line or better.
The Barn Find is next on Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine. Now, back to Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine.
Hi, I'm Mike, and this is my garage. Today we're going to talk about that elusive barn find. Well, what we got here is a 1976 Pontiac Trans Am, 455 4-speed car, last of the 455 4-speeds. A actual viewer had this sitting in his garage, original owner car, 51,000 miles, but had seen better days. We're gonna go over and I'll show you some really neat little things, the history, the details that you can gain by finding a barn find garage gem that's been hidden away for all those years. 20 years, 30 years, however long it may be. Take the time, do some little things. One, check your carburetor. Make sure nothing has built a nest in there. You don't want any of that sucking down into the engine. You know, check the oil. Make sure there's nothing that can catch fire. I would not pump from the gas tank. A lot of times you want to drop that tank. It could be very rusty. Again, you don't want to put rust down in your engine. It could just be very tarnished, real bad gas. So I took new fuel pump, made my own makeshift gas can hanging behind the firewall here, or the in front of the radiator support. So I know I'm not sucking any of that garbage out of the tank. All I talk about those inspection markings and all those little tags and what have you. This car still had some of them. This is where I get my knowledge from. This is where you learn that history. This is where those restoration experts, they build that wealth of knowledge. What people want nowadays is closest to that factory off the line or better, but those ones that want everything perfect, that's what you document. From the build sheet, which we found in the interior, if you learn how to read them, even in here, radiator hoses, in and out, there's a code, LU. Right there, LU on the radiator hose. Interior of this car, some people want that originality. They want to say, hey, those are original seats, the original covers that were on that car in 1976. I knew to look behind the back seat. This is the actual build sheet to this car. This car, it actually went to Ray Farrow Pontiac. On the deck lid of this car is the Ray Farrow emblem from the dealership. No console, which is pretty rare. It's telling you, no console, dash marks. A lot of things in here that, just a lot of history. Being found by taking your time and knowing where to look. Best way to get some of the smells out of a car, get rid of that nasty old carpet. The nice part about this car being indoors, the dash stayed beautiful with no cracks. None of the plastic got all deteriorated from being sitting outside. Overall, cleaned up very nice and looks like a car that is actually better than a 51,000 mile car, which means somebody did love it for a while and took as pretty good care of it as they could. Obviously, this car is not Survivor paint, Survivor condition. So to have a little touch up here, I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to like say, oh yeah, that's a very good repair there. That's just protecting that rust from spreading any farther, because every square inch of that costs money to repair. This car is gonna undergo a full restoration. So while it sits there, you know, even if the paint was on there was black, I would not say go put roofing tar on it, because roofing tar is gonna be very hard to get off later on down the road. But if you got some kind of Rust-Oleum, some kind of paint, anything, just to dab over those rust spots to keep it from spreading, to keep it from, and let's face it, it makes it a little better visual than looking at all those blobs of rust and that crappy look to it. So this is just a matter of protection for while it sits. These barn finds, hope you can find one yourself, and we'll catch you next week on Mike's Garage.
Next up on Cruise In.
Ask the man who owns one.
And we'll just stay tuned and see on Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine. We'll be right back. Now back to the 17th annual PPG Goodguys Rod and Custom Nationals on Cruise In, presented by Cruisin' Times Magazine. So Ray, tell us about your Packard.
Well, it's a 1934 four-door sedan. I bought it down in Tennessee about 15 years ago. A guy had kind of started on it and did some work to it. I took it totally apart and redid it entirely. It's got a 500 cubic inch Cadillac in it. All the amenities. We do a lot of traveling in it, and we've really enjoyed the car. I've built quite a few street rods, but nothing quite like this before.
And you're traveling in style.
Yeah, I think so.
Where all do you go?
We've been to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee about 5 times in it. We've been to Charlotte, North Carolina 2 or 3 times. We're planning a trip to Branson, Missouri yet this year. It just loves to be driven, really. It's a driving car.
Good for you. Now, let's go around the car. It came with 2 spare tires, it looks like.
2 spare tires, yeah. I had to make all these covers and so forth for them because the tires normally were quite larger. And put 15-inch wheels on it to make it drivable today. I had to fabricate all these covers and so forth, but that's a stock thing for 1934.
And so the mirrors are original, I mean, as far as they came with the Packard.
Those are handmade.
Oh, yeah, but I mean...
Yeah, that's the way they were back in 34.
How about the side cowl vents?
Those were all stock. Everything you see on the car is pretty much original. The headlights, the horns, the bumper guards. I wanted to keep it looking the way it did in 34, because I don't think you can improve on the styling about it.
Now, how about the interior? Kind of tell us some of the, as they say, accoutrements.
Yeah, I didn't do the interior work. I did a lot of the welding and so forth as far as the seat frames are concerned. I had a good friend of mine, Harvey West, did the upholstery work on the inside. I don't know what to say other than use the original dash. I fabricated air conditioning vent panels and so forth for the air conditioning. I put power windows in it. It's got power seat, telescopic steering column, pretty much all the comforts of home.
Oh my goodness. So they don't look like power windows.
Yeah,
You've got them hidden somehow.
Well, no, they're power windows.
And then you've got, how many passenger is this?
Well, it's pretty much a 5-passenger. As big as the car is, when you take the running boards off, these cars were fairly narrow inside. So
They're just long.
Yeah. I mean, you can 5 passengers, but it's not as roomy widthways as you might think because of the way the cars were designed back then.
What model is this compared to some of the other Packards? Give us a comparison.
Well, I don't know all the models. This is called a Model 1100, and it's a 4-door sedan. You have to understand, this car was sold in 1934 during the Depression. And
for how much?
I don't know. I've heard around $2,000.
Oh.
And you know, at a time when things were pretty tough in this country. So whoever bought this car new was, I always think owning this car in 1934 would be like owning your own airplane today.
I think so. Because only the rich could afford it. I mean,
I think so.
How about trunk space? Where would you put your...
That's the original trunk on the back. I had a hard time finding that, and I restored that. But that trunk came with fitted suitcases, and when you got to your destination, you opened up the trunk, the 3 fitted suitcases came out, and you went into your destination with your fitted suitcases. These were luxurious cars.
So those suitcases came with the car when you
trunk,
bought it?
Yeah. If you notice on the window, there's an original sticker that says, "Ask the man who owns one." And that's a famous Packard saying. When he was asked, the president of Packard Motor Company, "How good are your cars?" his response was, "Ask the man who owns one."
Well, we're asking one right now. How good is it?
It's great.
That closes the book on another edition of Goodguys Rod and Custom Nationals from Columbus. We'll see you next week on Cruising.